One of the biggest lies that most people believe is that as an older person, starting over is going to be difficult. Hi, my name is Nigel, an entrepreneur, a former educator, and someone who wants to spend time talking to you about why starting over is important. A few years ago, I lost everything. After leaving a career of teaching for more than 18 years, I established a tutoring and learning center that I ran for about 10 years before I brought in someone to help my wife and I. She ran off, leaving us in tens of thousands of dollars in expenses. And what happened? When someone runs off with all of your money, you become frantic. Because in your mind, it's my money. I worked, I teach, I enroll these students. I am running a company and I am making money. And I've been doing that year over year. And here I am scrambling. 24 months of litigation, losing everything. At a point we were preparing to buy a home. All the money that we've saved, drained. All the money that we put into the company, gone. Bills, 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 bills. After bracing myself and coming to grips with the reality, after going through the entire loss, frantic cycle, here I am. Here I am. I'm starting over. I remember pitching the idea to a friend, and she was like, well, why would you do that? Why not go back and get a teaching job? You're a smart person. No. At this point, I got experience on my hand. That experience is going to give me what I need to go out, to forge forward, and to win. And what did I do? I get up and I went out. And I started what I was able to do. When I ran my tutoring company, we served 1,000+ family over that 10-year period. So I had experience selling. I had experience pitching to parents. I had experience making offers. I had experience. That was my secret weapon. That brings me to point number 2. Research has shown, MIT conducted a research, that people over age 50, when they start over, they have a stronger why. They are more focused. They are going at more of a laser pace. And they can win. And that brings me to point number 3. Look, if you can find any examples that you can look at and see what they do, it gives you a pattern to look at. And that's what I did. Colonel Sanders, he started at 62 with KFC. Ray Kroc, the guy who franchised at McDonald's, he started at 52. The big fashion lady, Vera Wang, she started at 40. I was 45. And what did I do? I used my knowledge. I used my experience. And in less than 24 months, I was at $1 million. $1 million in 24 months. Why? I know what I was doing. I had experience. Let me share with you a story. Years before that, I worked at a hospital. I worked part-time at the hospital. And I was a psychiatric counselor at this hospital. And one of the guys who worked there, I'll leave him nameless for this particular reason. He used to be a manager at this bookstore in Georgetown. And the bookstore closed down. At that time, I had gone through 2 business cycles. I had already gone through trying to escape being a school teacher when I launched a product at Whole Foods store and realized the bandwidth, I didn't want to focus that way. I wasn't prepared to run to 48 stores, trying to do in-stores demo, etc. I had started hiring others, and I wasn't up for that. I also had gotten a radio program up and running that grew so big that almost ran me crazy. Why? We had a team of 8 people running the radio program. But this week you were called here, this week you were called there, you had to travel, you had to speak, you had to go at conferences. I was trying to just be sane. I wasn't up for that. I was just focused with my little tutoring studio that I built up into this big thing that was serving over 100 students a year. And I was successful because I know how to do the marketing, how to do the client acquisition, how to build the initial systems. And I was doing it. So when I brought this lady in to help us, and we got that whole collapse, my focus was different. But back to the story with James. Sorry for naming the guy. Anyhow, yeah. So he's all about going after a fixed salary. Go after a fixed salary. And I looked at him and I asked myself a question. He was in his 60s. And nights after the shift is over, he would sit there writing notes. There are nights when he's there up to past midnight. Shift ended at 11 o'clock. And I asked myself, do I want my life to look like that? Let's be free. Let's be real. I'm a creative type. I get my energy and passion seeing big turnaround and changes. In everything I've ever done, that's what I've succeeded at. That's why I launched my restoration company. Because at the end of a crisis, whether it's an emergency of fire, an emergency of water, an emergency of mold, an emergency of asbestos, an emergency of a bio, when I see the family come back to their home or come into their home after we're finished and the light that is on their face, I'm happy. That is what being older has helped me to hone, has helped me to better do. So the question you're asking yourself, if being older is a disadvantage? No, it's not. That is your advantage. And I wanted you to be able to see that as the only thing that can give you a strategic edge. When I went to talk to an investor, he was 28. And I was telling him, look, this is what my comeback strategy is. I'm going to launch a restoration company. I need about X amount of money to buy equipment, etc. This guy laughed at me. The laughing wasn't what enraged me. I got an inner passion to go out and fight because he doubted me. You see, when I was in high school, I got kicked out of Mackenzie High because I got caught up in the wrong crowd. When I left Mackenzie High and I went to Multi, I was told I can't this and I can't that. I graduated valedictorian. When I went on to college, at Cyril Potter College, I remember having a setback and I was told nothing good is going to come out to me. I remember after I graduated, I went on to University of Guyana. When I left there and I came here to the US, I went back to college and I was told clearly, oh, nothing good is going to come out to you. And I went and proved them wrong. Why? Because I know what it is like to be focused. Look, when you're older, you can plan differently. You can structure differently. What is your why is a different thing. I wanted you to use that to your advantage. Age is just a number, but that number is your advantage. All right? Thank you. This is Men and Mentors. Like, comment, subscribe. And if this has blessed you, share it with one or two people. Let's build a movement. Thank you.